Alessandro, welcome to the Hot Seat studio.
Love to be here.
Please introduce yourself. Who are you?
I'm Alessandro Hatami. I'm an old banker and ex-PayPal person. So I started off my life as a banker, then went to PayPal, then went to payments and back into banking. So very diverse. I have a business called Pacemakers, and we work with large organizations to help them find a smaller organization to work with. Not necessarily startups, but smaller organizations that give them the edge, and we think that's the future. So collaboration will be all about what the future is all about.
That we agree to. So the big banks in Europe, how could they be working with fintechs, and why should they be working with fintechs, us alike?
Yes, I think if you think about transformation in any industry, but especially in banking, they go through three stages. Their first stage is adapt, and they adapt their own way of doing things to new technologies. So they do what they did in branches online. Then they evolve and they create new products based on this technology that they've created. But then they hit a wall because when you get to the transform stage, which is the third stage, they need to rethink who they are. They need to reposition, they need to re-identify their customer and their customers' needs. And I think in that instance, trying to do it themselves is very, very difficult. So partnering is the best way. And partnering with fintechs is a really good idea, I would say.
So, but what does fintechs then bring to the table that maybe more traditional players are not bringing?
Very good question. I think what the fintechs bring to the table is that they bring a different way of looking at how to deliver the outcome that the customer needs. So if you think about ultimately what customers expect from us, they don't expect the range of products that the banks are offering. They fundamentally expect three things. They want a payment solution, they want to be able to pay, and they want the bank just to tell them just to give them the choice between cheap or fast. They want a credit line that extends from overdraft all the way down to mortgages, but it's still a credit line, the bank is giving you that money. And then they want to protect the little surplus that they have. And they can protect this by having a savings account, or they can do this by making an investment product, buying an investment product, a pension, or even an insurance product. In these three instances, they also need some intelligent advice to help them do that. So what the fintechs do is that they're creating the components of this solution. And interestingly enough, by collaborating with the banks will provide the trust dimension in that. So if you think about the ideal bank of the future, which is something that I mentioned in my book, Reinventing Banking, written with Helene Panzarino, is the idea that the bank is a trusted third party that you work with, and they're there with you. And interestingly, in the book, I say that the best example of this is what the medieval banks used to do. So medieval bank, the objective was not to sell a product, but it was to give the customer what they needed in a profitable way, in a sustainable way. And both sides trusted each other because they were part of a small community. And if they let each other down, each side, their reputations would be damaged.
They know where they live.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts about fintech and innovation? Where will we be in 5 years from now?
I think it's interesting because it feels like we have reached a point where the banks have realized that their business models potentially, or at least the way they're doing certain things, are mildly obsolete. But at the same time, they're making too much money in doing things the old way. So it's in a bit of an innovator's dilemma. So you're reaching the point that if the banks know that what they're doing is possibly not exactly long term, but at the same time, they're making too much money today to let go of that. So I think it's a really difficult time for banks. Doesn't seem that way because they're making so much money these days. But I think conceptually, their business model is quite challenged, not only by fintechs, but also for other organizations that can channel fintechs. Big tech can be a big player in this space. And we see it in China, how organizations like WeChat and so on are very much, not saying replacing banks, but creating a layer between the bank and the customer. So this intermediating the bank. So I think the banks will have to start thinking about what is their relationship with the customer about? Is it about product, or is it about engaging and being there for the long term? And their future depends on choosing the right thing.
Thank you, Alessandro, for visiting the Hot Seat studio. Thank you.